Good morning, DJ and PK on this Tuesday, the last day of 2024. Tomorrow's New Year's Day, big college football day tomorrow, as it always is. This year, a little bit more meaningful in terms of the playoff with 3 games. We got 1 game tonight, 3 games tomorrow, and they will be quarterfinals, and then we'll go into the semifinals, obviously. Excited about that. We got some off-the-field news here that we got to hit before we get into the other stuff. Kenal Tenavasa, how about this, man? Going from Utah to BYU. That's a huge pickup for the Cougars. I've thought Tenavasa is just a star in the making. He's still got 2 years of eligibility left to go. He's going to put up some numbers in that defensive front. If nothing else, he's going to use some bodies on some offensive linemen that got to account for him. Maybe free up some other guys on the edges, free up the linebackers. We know how that works. Football's the ultimate team game. And with BYU losing so much of their defensive front there with the seniors that they've got, this is a gigantic pickup. I don't think they could have got anybody better that was willing to come to BYU. And then I guess it's the money. We'll talk about that this morning. All right, money talks, and, I realized that he was on social media last week talking about how it was going to be a Ute for life, and the lifespan was not even for the rest of the month. If I'm a Ute fan, I get it. But what are you going to do, man? He's going to get that kind of money, and he's willing to transfer. If BYU's willing to pay it, so be it, man. It's not like Utah's not getting guys. I mean, Logan Fauno spent a year with the Cougars. He didn't play. He was injured. Nelson last year came over from BYU to Utah a few years back. Linebacker Francis Bernard. And Francis Bernard was most definitely an impact player for Utah. So you can whine about it all you want. It goes both ways. Back in the day, they used to not allow you to transfer. And if you did transfer in the conference, you'd lose a year of eligibility. How about that? Remember Trent Whiting did it, went from Utah to BYU in basketball, and then lost a season. Only could play half a season when he transferred to BYU. Now you can go be immediately eligible within the conference and get paid more. Oh, what a time to be a so-called student athlete. I'm just going to call them players because that's what they are. What a time to be a player. So we'll hit that this morning. And how about this, man? We also got college basketball. Okay, finally, we can get done with the preliminaries. It is here. College basketball conference play I'm talking about. The Big 12 got going last night. Iowa State goes into Colorado. Iowa State's ranked 3rd. I don't know how many people have been paying attention to that, but Iowa State is ranked 3rd in the country. They are 11-1. They went over to Boulder and won by 10. You also had Houston, who's very good, 14th in the country. They beat Oklahoma State. Classic Houston game with their defense. Really good. Oklahoma State only scores 47 points. And then you got Kansas State winning at home. Cincinnati was ranked 16th. That was their second loss. And then you got down in the desert, 2 7-5 teams. Arizona beat TCU, and both of those ball clubs now are 7-5. So you got that. So what we've got going on today, that was partial of the Big 12. We got at noon, early game down in Waco. The Utes, 8-3 record, and Baylor also 8-3. What does that mean? We'll find out if the Utes can get a victory and not just beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And then a couple hours later on ESPN2, I think the Utes and Bears are on ESPN Plus. And so you got BYU and ASU in Provo at the Marriott Center. ESPN2 at 2 o'clock. And the guys are supposed to be back. We talked to Steve Cleveland about that yesterday. Take some time. We had Dallin Hall was out. You had Agor hasn't played since early in the month. And Richie Saunders missed a few games. He got smacked in the face against Wyoming. And Kevin Young, we're going to let you hear from Kevin Young. He's talking about it's time that the team is ready to go. So let's hear from Kevin Young in his press conference yesterday right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who is going to be available for Arizona State tomorrow? Will Yegor and Richie be back?
Yeah, barring anything that unforeseen, yeah, those guys should be available.
Last thing for me, Coach. What do you think your team improved on during this break, and do you think the extended period of rest was beneficial for your group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had guys banged up, so it was good for those guys to get additional rest. As far as stuff we improved on during the break, I just think, mental clarity, come back in with a sense of urgency for this push here in conference play, and I think just more from a mental side is probably where we gained a bit of an edge.
All right, we'll go with Darnell, then Sean.
Yeah, how are you finding coaching college-age players as opposed to professional players? What sort of, I don't know if adjustment's the right word, but how do you find that basketball is maybe just so unifying, doesn't really matter, or do you see differences?
I think more it is just basketball still. I think just probably the pace in which I teach things is a little bit slower here, and I don't know if that's a byproduct of age or that's a byproduct of just having more time on the practice floor. So I don't know if it's unique to college-age players versus professional-age players, but I think the thing I've enjoyed more than anything is just – and I had a lot of very coachable guys in the NBA, so I was lucky from that standpoint. But the group we've assembled here is extremely coachable. We were able to really lock in on certain things, and they dig their teeth into it. So that part I've really enjoyed.
And then one other question about the numbers that you guys kind of crunch as coaches. What numbers mean the most to you when you start evaluating your team?
And I don't.
Aside from wins, I guess.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's where I was going to go straight away. I mean, I think, and I'm a huge numbers guy, but I think winning obviously can't get blinded by all the analytic reports and so forth. Defensive rebounding percentage is a big one for us. Offensive rebounding percentage is a big one for us. Free throw attempts and free throws given up is a big one. Assist percentage is a big one in terms of our assist percentage. Those are the ones that my eye is immediately drawn to. I think those allow us to play to our identity. Those are the ones we probably talk about the most internally and with our players as well.
All right, Sean, Mitch, then Jay.
Coach, this is I got two things. One that's super micro, and then another it's a little bit big picture, I guess, as you kind of turn the page into Big 12 play. But first of all, you said last week when we talked to you after the game that Kadeem is signed and sealed and on campus, and you were going to kind of get him into practice and whatnot. What have you sort of made of him as he sort of makes his way into the program, and anything kind of stand out to you that was maybe different when you were trying to bring him in and recruiting him and all that stuff?
What stood out is just his size and athleticism and how fluid he is. He's for as big as he is. He's an extremely fluid athlete. He can really move. His shot is more, I think, fluid and more compact than I thought it would be coming in. And I think he's made strides even in a couple of days of just working with our coaches. So I think he's got a lot more upside as a shooter than I kind of hoped he did. But just seeing him now up close in person, I'm even more hopeful that he can turn himself into a really good three-point shooter. But I think everyone's quickly, you're just sitting there looking at him and watching him play, and you're just like, I think excitement is a good word for him.
And then kind of zooming out from there a little bit, when you were kind of ramping up to the season and getting ready for the job, and maybe even a little bit of non-conference play, what did people tell you about playing in the Big 12, whether it was like other coaches from around the conference, outside the conference, in college? You've got a couple of members of your staff that played in and against Big 12 teams as well. Like, what did people kind of tell you about playing in this conference?
Well, if I tried to reach out to some people that I felt like had a good grasp on it, I spent a decent amount of time with Fran Fraschilla. He's kind of the guru of the Big 12. So he kind of gave me a pretty good, I think, roadmap of the Big 12. Physicality, aggressive defense, older players. Those have been the commonalities. So being able to have to navigate, the aggressive, tough-minded teams, I think is probably what stood out more than anything as I talked to different people.
And Kevin, what are the challenges of playing basically a midweek game in the afternoon? Students aren't on campus yet. It would seem to me that you'd maybe want to open on the road because of those factors, or are you guys looking forward to this game tomorrow?
We're looking. Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I mean, we're looking forward to it. I don't put a lot of stock in home and road. I know the records and history would say otherwise, but I think it's just a mentality. I think whether there's one fan, no fans, 1,000 fans, 10,000 fans, 17,000 fans, home, road, whatever, you got to go out there and execute. And so I like the fact that we've had day games, night games, early games, midday games, home games, road games, whatever the case may be. I think it's really good preparation. It just so happened that our home, our Big 12 opener is, falls, midday on a non-school day. But I have a sneaky suspicion that the crowd will still be pretty good.
Kevin, how much of Yegor and Richie practiced during this time since they've been away? Have they been a full participant in practice ramping up for this game?
Number one, I appreciate the Alamo Bowl hat. That's a good look. Number two is, they've been able to practice quite a bit. They look good. Still monitoring those guys to make sure everything checks out. But, I wish we could have played even more, honestly, just to get those guys more run. But I know they're both eager and, ready to get back out there with their teammates.
You noted that the Big 12, one of the characteristics is older teams is what the intel you kind of got. But this Arizona State team's got a pair of freshmen and Quains and Son that seem to be leading them. Your impressions of this Arizona State team and those young guys in particular?
Yeah, those young guys are really talented. Pretty familiar with both of them. Joe Son can really score the ball. He's a guy that's been extremely efficient, one of the most efficient shooters in college basketball to start the season. He can go off for 30 on any given night. So we'll have to pay a lot of attention to him. And then, Acquaintance is, kid's gifted, super long, super athletic. He kind of reminds me of Draymond Green defensively, where he just kind of is a one-man wrecking crew out there. Super young. I think he's like the younger than everyone by like 6 months in college basketball or something like that. So just obviously the sky's the limit for his future, but in the current iteration of him is pretty darn good too. So he's a guy we just gotta, and he's interesting because he's not a guy where they're like Joe Son, they're clearly running stuff for him to get going. With Acquaintance, he just makes it happen. He just gets it out of the mud, and just it's hard to prepare for guys like that because you can't really scheme for that. You just got to play harder than he does.
All right, guys, we'll finish with Ron, Matt, and then Jerem.
Yeah, Coach, you've had a lot of guys step up in the process with guys going down. Do you plan to still have a bigger rotation, or is that going to be limited now going to the conference play?
That'll be streamlined a little bit. I still think we have some internal competitions that are going on for some of the, probably 9 and 10 areas. Some guys have stepped up when they've gotten opportunity. So there'll still be some competition going on, but we do feel like we've, our top 8 guys have sort of emerged.
I'm trying to think of how to word this, Coach, to piggyback off Mitch's Alamo Bowl hat, but a lot of, including football and hoops, a lot of these athletic programs at BYU have had a lot of success in the last year. Has it, I don't know if surprised the right word, but compared to your expectations, how have you enjoyed or kind of viewed the passion and just the national and general interest in BYU athletics right now?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think, Kalani's done an amazing job with the football team. A super impressive bowl win there. Someone sent me something where AJ DeBanza, on his Instagram had the BYU football win as one of his posts. And so, just the excitement around, not just what they're doing or not just what we're doing, and then you can go into cross country and track and field, and you just kind of keep going down the list. I mean, there's a lot of cool things happening, at this university, and it's a credit to, Tom and Brian and President Reese and Keith and everyone, the leadership team here that, has put together a really outstanding athletic department to go along with a really outstanding university. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. It's exciting. I'm hoping that we can kind of carry the torch now that football is over, and we can kind of keep this momentum going.
All right, Jeremy, you have the final question.
Kevin, did you watch Bobby Hurley play as a kid? Did you ever look up to him as a kind of a guard? And then kind of what's the relationship with Bobby now?
No, I never looked up to him. I actually was never a big Duke guy. So don't know Bobby at all. I've met him at the Big 12 Media Day. Got great respect for any coach who, especially someone who's lasted as long as he has at Arizona State, clearly knows what he's doing, gets his guys to play really hard. So just a lot of respect for the start that they've had. They've beaten some really quality opponents. And they feed off of his energy, I'm sure. And so just looking forward for us to compete against a high-level opponent.
If Duke wasn't the team of choice that you liked watching, who was?
BYU, man.
Nice. And then the importance. What's the importance of kind of starting conference play on a winning note here?
I just think we're ready. I think our guys are ready to go out and compete. Against some of these high-level teams. Obviously, we want to start off with the win, but we want to come out and play well. We want to come out and play to our identity and play to all the things that we work on a daily basis, which I think that's probably where we've grown the most in the last month is, we have a better understanding of who we are on both ends of the floor. And I told the guys yesterday when we're kind of to the point now where guys don't play to our team identity, it really stands out in a bad way. And so I think we've got guys kind of rowing in the same direction, and that's when teams get dangerous.
All right, that's Kevin Young. Coming up, we're going to talk some hockey. Hockey is underway. Obviously, the season's been going on for a while. We will get to that next. Stay with us right here at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning. Welcome on in. We got some hockey. The Utah Hockey Club goes up to Seattle, and they lose 5-2. What a crazy season it's been. You go back in December, right? They start off the month with a loss, then they win 2, then at home in a shootout to Minnesota, they lose, and then what do? They win 4 in a row. Move to 16-11. You're thinking, okay, man, maybe they got something going on here. Or actually, 16-11-5. Yeah, thinking, all right, what do? After that win on the 20th of December in Minnesota, which is a good team, they've now lost 4 in a row. It's crazy, man. Win, lose. I can't make heads or tails. They played their back-to-back. They played in Seattle. Now they got to go to Edmonton tonight. Puck drops at 7 o'clock. Let's get the postgame. Adrian Denny does it for us. Get you all the thoughts on the hockey team.
Hey guys, Utah Hockey Club opening up their 4-game road trip on Monday night in Seattle. The Kraken would score 2 late goals in a 3-minute and 47-second span and then add an empty netter. They get a 5-2 win after Utah tied things up in the final minute of the second period. So Utah's 7-game road winning streak, tied for the 3rd longest in the National Hockey League this season, comes to an end in Seattle on Monday night. Utah now 0-3-1 in their last 4 games after that 6-0-1 stretch saw them go unbeaten in 7 straight from December 8th through 20th. So still 6-3-2 in the last 11. Things are just coming in spurts right now for Utah Hockey Club. One thing that's really spurting for Utah, the power play. Now 11 for its last 33. That's a clip of 33% in the last 10 after Logan Cooley gave Utah a 1-0 lead in the first period on Monday night.
Jamie Alexiak cannot find the escape valve. Keller at the high circle. Now the high slot across. One-timer trickles in. Cooley knocks it through, and Utah strikes first on the power play. 11:19 to go in the first period, and Logan Cooley has his 9th goal of the season.
That's the 20-year-old's 9th of the year. 4 of his last 6 goals have come on the power play. 6 of his 9 goals this year have come in the first period from Utah captain Clayton Keller, the leading scorer. Now has 37 points in 36 games. Cooley, by the way, now tied with Dylan Gunther for second on the team in scoring with 32 points in 36 games. So the red-hot Utah power play absolutely cranking. Seattle thought they scored a power play goal to tie things up with 4:45 left to go in the first, but after a little bit of a scuffle, a skirmish, some guys exchanging words, Utah head coach Andre Tourney and his coaching staff had about 5 minutes to decide they were going to challenge that Seattle power play goal for being offside, and they had enough time to be totally sure of it. For the second time in 3 challenges this year, Utah is successful. So it stayed 1-0 there. But then Utah just kind of lost their details for a little bit. 2 goals in 51 seconds for the Kraken, and that a 2-1 lead after 20. For Utah, it was just the 6th time this year that they trailed after 1 period in their 36th game. Just the 5th time this year in 36 games they've allowed more than a goal in a first period. But they'd get it back in the second period that saw Utah outshoot Seattle 17-7. Alexander Kerfoot slammed it home, and we were tied at 2 going to the third.
Muscled off the puck by Kevin Stenlund. What a play by Stenlund here on this near side. And then Stenlund just got blown up by Schwartz behind the play. No penalties. We continue on. Carcone, shoot, kick save, rebound, they score! Kerfoot knocks it in after Carcone got it to the front of the net, and we are tied at 2 with 58 seconds left in the period.
As I said, in that third period, Seattle had a breakaway. Vejmelka stopped it in goal for Utah, and then just Jaden Schwartz able to kind of sneak ahead of everybody. He skated in for a breakaway, gave Seattle their final lead of the night at 3-2, and then Matty Beniers, 6th of the year, 3 minutes and 47 seconds after that, made it 4-2. Utah pulled Karel Vejmelka for an extra attacker. Jarrett McCann made it 5-2 for the Kraken as Seattle takes a victory. So Seattle, everything's about circumstance. They had scored just 6 goals in the last 5 before they broke out on Saturday with 3 goals in the final 5 minutes. Vancouver took a 4-1 deficit, made it 4-4 late, won at 5-4 in overtime, and they put up 4 more goals here against Utah, make it 5 goals against Utah. So 10 goals in their last 2 games for Seattle, so they have now won 2 in a row. They're up to 17-19-2 on the year. Utah drops to 16-14-6. After a game with a lot of power plays in the first, no penalties the final 2 periods in this one. And for the first time this year, Karel Vejmelka allows more than 3 goals in a game on the road. Let's hear from the locker room post-game. We'll start with head coach Andre Tourney.
Coach, how would you assess the way that kind of third period unfolded for you guys?
Well, I think all night long it was a little bit the same story. We forced the play too much. I think we gave up too much. At the end of the day, we were capable of having possession and stuff like that, but we press. We're feeling the pressure right now of scoring goal instead to just play the game. It's what is in front of us. Where's the space and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of guys who really wants to do the right thing. We have guys who really want to win. They want to get a result, but right now they're forcing it, and we're our worst enemy at times.
So with those breakdowns coming from trying to press too much, does that concern you the same amount as if it was just a lapse in coverage, or are you kind of okay with the over-aggressiveness at all?
No, I'm not okay. You cannot win if you give that number of opportunity we gave tonight in terms of breakaways or 2-on-1s and stuff like that. And there's sometimes it will happen. There will be a broken play. It will be a play where you cannot prevent a block shot or a puck jump over your stick. That stuff happens. But we need to just get a little bit more mature and more patient in our game. I love the fight in our guys. I love their desire. I love the fact they want to compete and they want to make the difference. It's just we need to get under control, get more mature, and understand, hey, it's 2-2 game. We don't have to force it, but we'll get there.
it's a stretch of games for you guys against teams that have really active D. How did you feel like you guys kept Montour and Dunn in check tonight?
I think we did a pretty good job at it. I think that was a strong part of our game. I didn't mind that part of our game. I think, like I said, it's a few puck decision, a few guys who hide behind us where we were pressing a little bit too much, but it's not by a lack of desire or a lack of competitiveness, it's the reverse, so we just need to tune that in.
I know you've been asked about the third line a lot. They created some more great chances, it looked like, here today. What'd you make of their play?
Yeah, I think they had good pace, they put pucks at the net, they had opportunity on rebound, just the puck right now doesn't roll for them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
So we're going to be back at it tonight in Edmonton, 7 o'clock against the defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. Mike Carcone, a big assist late, and Mike Folta caught up with him after the game as well.
Carks just getting away from you guys there in the third period. What kind of happened for them to kind of capitalize on their chances and tilt things their way in the end?
I think they were just getting pucks behind us in the neutral zone there and getting odd man rushes and breakaways, and eventually they just capitalized on one, and from there it was a bit of a gong show.
What I guess what led to those breakdowns that allowed them to kind of get behind everybody and get down the ice and convert on those chances?
I think maybe forcing plays and not being aware, and I think they knew that we were going to be potentially forcing plays, being behind the game at that point, and then they took advantage of it.
Pushback from you guys in the second. What was going right for you guys to kind of swing things back after that first period that was a little chaotic?
Yeah, I think to start we were, again forcing plays in the neutral zone and trying to make plays that weren't there, but we started getting pucks behind them and forechecking and using our body, and it's a team that likes to hit, but I don't think they like to get hit at all. So once we were doing that, they didn't really want the puck, and we just started rolling in our favor.
You've been using your speed to create chances off the rush, and this team has been creating more chances off the rush recently. Is that a confidence thing? Is that just the identity that you guys want to play with on that line?
Yeah, I think it's the identity. I think the more you play together and get to understand each other and how each other want to play, I think that's kind of how you make that bond, that mold, and have success together. So I'm playing with some high IQ guys, and they want me to take the puck wide and get it to the net, and they know that it's going to go there, and I know they're going to be there. So no, it's working out.
Thanks.
So quick turnaround for Utah. Game 4 of the 4-game trip. They'll be in Calgary Thursday, Dallas Saturday, home a week from tomorrow to start a 7-game homestand with the Florida Panthers. Again, 6 o'clock tonight, hockey night in Utah on 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone will have it for you. Puck will drop at 7 from Northern Alberta. Mike Folta will be on the call. Guys, thanks for having me. I'll be back again on Thursday when DJ returns to recap tonight's game in Edmonton.
There you go. Coming up next, we are going to talk some basketball. The Jazz playing the Denver Nuggets. We'll take you inside the locker room next. Welcome on in, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, DJ and PK. Yeah. This last day of 2021. What do you know? What do you know? Well, Jazz, you know that they're capable of playing halfway decent, but probably not going to win a whole lot of ball games, which is great. They dropped to 7-24. That's good news. They played well, but struggled in the third quarter, got outscored by 11, and Denver pulls away and wins going away, as I just said there, right? Jokic, what a stud, 36 points, 23 rebounds, 10 assists. He didn't shoot the ball well, 14-34, but he still has 36 points. And how about old man Russell Westbrook? He gets a triple-double. I think it's his 201st they were talking about, which leads the NBA historically. He had 16 points, 10 boards, and 10 assists. I think there's something like I think he started like 10 games or something. They're talking about how he's Denver's 8-2. Might even be a little bit more than that. Jazz, what are you going to do, man? They're just not good enough. Kessler with another slow game. 12 points, 13 boards, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Gotta love that, man. He's playing 38 minutes, too. He's getting way more time. In fact, nobody played more than him. Had him out on the floor. And Jokic did not shoot the ball well, as I just said. And Kessler, he's becoming a commodity. Keontae George came back. Was okay. Only took 9 shots, 7 points. Did have 6 assists, 3 turnovers. Cody Williams showed a little bit. Sensabaugh a little bit. Clarkson, he's a vet. You'd expect that. Collier, I thought Collier looked good. I thought Collier, if you're looking for bright spots, in 17 minutes off the bench, 5 assists to only, actually no turnovers. You'll take that. And he has some aggressive moves to go to the basket. That's what he needs to do. All right, let's get to the Jazz postgame.
It's your Jazz recap here on DJ and PK, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz fall last night at the Nuggets, 132 to 121. Nikola Jokic, Russell Westbrook both had triple-doubles for the Nuggets. Jokic 36, 22, and 11. Westbrook 16, 10, and 10. Jamal Murray also had 10 assists, 20 and 10 for the Nuggets in the victory. For the Jazz, Jordan Clarkson led the way with 24 points. Colin Sexton added 22, but the Jazz come up just short. Let's get to the post-game sound and start things off with Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
You know, I actually thought in the half court we did a decent job, with the exception of the 13 offensive rebounds in the second half. You know, Jokic ends up with 36 points, but he took 34 shots. You know, it's a fine line. Like I said, you know, it's a 2-point game when Jokic checks back in and we, you know, botch the coverage and he makes a 3, and then we have a bad possession and they get a layup and it's now 7. And when you're playing a really good team, that can be tough to overcome. But I think, again, I do feel like the team is really getting better, and we have a bunch of guys who are getting better. You know, I do think that for whatever reason, our energy sort of faded as the game went. And that's something that we can, you know, that we can control. We can take care of that. But overall, I'm still really optimistic about the progress of our guys. And, you know, I thought that Cody had some pretty good minutes tonight. He looked a little bit more comfortable. You know, Isaiah, I thought his ball pressure was good. I thought he pushed the pace for us and moved the ball well. You know, Johnny getting a start, I thought he had some really good moments as well. So there's a lot to be taken away from this game that's positive, and, you know, we'll try to build on some of those things and go play a good game in New York next year.
When Jokic is at the rim, he goes up and he keeps his hands up so high and doesn't really jump a lot, and so it makes it easy for him to kind of get his own offensive rebound.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to guard that better when, like, you're fighting so hard to get the first contest and then he's just there?
Yeah, I mean, any answer that I gave you would be like a coach's clinic answer, but the reality is he's been doing this for years, and he doesn't jump very high. He's got maybe the best hands in basketball, and he has an unbelievable ability to tip the ball to himself and to track offensive rebounds, especially shots that he takes. So, you know, it would be easy for me to sit here and say, well, yeah, if we did this, that, or the other, but those plays are really tricky and they're tough. And he doesn't jump, but he's really good at leveraging you with his body. He uses his size and his strength to push you under when he knows where the ball is going. So it's been probably an underrated skill of his. You know, his passing gets highlighted a lot. His skill set gets highlighted a ton, but his ability to rebound without jumping very high is second to none.
I know he's not a darling of the analytics era, but are you a fan of Russell Westbrook's game? Is there something you like about his game?
Yeah, Russ is vicious. No one's ever knocked his competitiveness and the energy that he puts into every game, the energy that he gives his team. he's played like that every game I've ever seen him. I haven't watched every game he's ever played, but the years that I was in San Antonio, we played Oklahoma City in the playoffs a bunch, and he was just as vicious then as he is now. He was just a little bit younger. He's always, flaunted his athleticism and plays with a force and a passion every night that I think is it's the reason that I respect him as much as I do. Like, to come out every night and bring that type of energy and force game after game, year after year, is really special. This is an every night league, and I don't care what anybody says about him. Nobody's ever going to say he doesn't play hard.
You guys had 3 turnovers in the first half, 13 in the second. What's like the difference between, what do you guys do differently when it's a good turnover half versus a bad one?
I thought first half we passed the ball earlier. Second half, there were some later decisions with the ball. There's also, just some sloppy moments, like some plays where we're too casual with the ball, and passes are getting tipped. People are shooting the gap and stripping us on, when we're catching the ball in the pocket. Those plays they take a level of urgency, and I think as the game goes on sometimes and you get fatigued, you can take those simple things for granted, like just passing and catching. And, they did a good job of being disruptive, and, I think at least that I can remember off the top of my head, 4 or 5 were passes that, touched our hands, but as they're hitting our hands, they are shooting the gap and ripping through the play. So it's, like everything we've talked about, it's a fine line. It's not one glaring thing. I think that's been one of the hardest elements of our turnovers this season, is that it's not one thing. It's not one play that we're making over and over again. It's, it's a sampler platter of turnovers at times.
With the transition defense, when they're not off turnovers, when they're on live rebounds, what are you seeing? And it seemed like you gave up a lot of those opportunities.
Yeah, they sent 2-3 people flying. Jokic did such a good job of controlling the defensive backboard for them. Their guards get out and run really, really well. I mean, Christian Brown ends up with 20 points. I'm trying to remember a half-court basket he scored. I'm sure there was one. But, I felt like the whole game I saw him out in transition. And they do as good a job as anybody I've seen lately at throwing the ball ahead. The outlets are high. There are times they're outletting the ball to Russ high. They're outletting it to Jamal high. And the next pass is up to the next person. They're not dribbling the ball across half court very much. Like, they throw the ball across the half court line as much or more than anybody I've seen lately. I don't have numbers in front of me to back that up, but they're committed to running as a team, and they do it over and over and over and over again. And anytime that you slip up, they capitalize.
What went into the decision to start Johnny tonight, and what did you see from him out there?
Yeah, I felt like, tonight was a good night with Keontae coming back to have a, more of a shooter out there with that first group. Johnny's worked really hard. He's been a solid team defender up to this point. And, I think that tonight, for the most part, he executed his role. I think, Johnny's looking to get threes off. He's really developed that part of his game, especially the catch and shoot three. And defensively, we need Johnny to use his size on the wing and his physicality to just be solid. I'm not asking him to guard isolations in space really high on the floor. I'm asking him to be a really solid executor of our team defense. I think for the most part this season he's done that. I thought he played pretty well tonight.
What did you see out of Keontae after having a couple games off?
He was a little tentative. I didn't see a ton of plays where he was bursting towards the rim. I think there were some some threes, especially some pocket threes that he left on the table tonight. But I don't think I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's all happening really fast. It's your first game back, and the pace of a game is different to the pace of everything you do. We'll obviously see how he feels after the game, but I think overall he was solid. He just didn't seem quite as aggressive as he was the last time I saw him play, which I think is to be expected coming back after a couple games away.
There is Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on to the players and hear from Colin Sexton.
It seems like you guys are really getting to rhythm, really gelling. Where is that just coming from the time you guys have played together, or where do you think it's coming?
Honestly, I just feel like just continue to grow. At the end of the day, no game is going to be perfect, but we just got to continue to move on to the next play and have next play mentality. And like Coach always say, we got to show love to one another. And at the end of the day, somebody might miss a pass, somebody might miss you in the corner. Like, you got to be like, all right, move on and just continue to push.
Next game, New Year's Day, MSG. That's kind of a big thing for the culture of basketball. So what does that mean to you?
It's crazy, just being able to play in Madison Square Garden, one of my favorite arenas to play in, just knowing like all the memories growing up, and it's going to be fun. It's one that we need, and it's New Year's, so 2025. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good one. I know everybody looks forward to it, so we just gotta try to get it up. Thank you.
The starting group.
Yeah, Johnny. I would say with Johnny in the first group, creates a bunch of spacing out there. They know that he can shoot the ball really well, so we have driving lanes to get to the basket, but also just make the reads with the big, just because the floor is a little bit spaced out. Thank you.
That's Colin Sexton. Let's now move on to Johnny Juzang, who got the start last night.
Well, how did you feel like you were able to contribute from the starting lineup tonight?
I just wanted to come in, bring some energy. Obviously, it's a great opportunity, and I love that playing with that group as well. We've got some, it's a super talented group. So just come in, bring energy, space the floor, knock down my shots, and let the ball move too, kind of be a ball mover. And I thought we had some great runs in that unit. So, yeah, it was fun. It was great.
How does it feel for your team to kind of just have that ball movement lately and to kind of get things moving in that sense?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Again, we got so much talent, and I think a lot of shooting and great players. So just trusting each other and playing together, I think, we make a lot of great runs. Unfortunately, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. But, no, it's super important trusting each other and just kind of let everybody shine in their spots and find each other in their spots.
Back before the season started, you had talked to me about what you've done in the off season, and just really your body was kind of the biggest thing, working on the physicality of that. How do you feel like that's translating into your game now?
No, that's been great. Yeah, it's a great summer of work and getting it in with the staff and coaches and everybody. So, it's you just keep finding ways to get better, contribute more. So that was something that was big for me this summer. And, probably something's coming forward. Just keep working on the body as well as, obviously your skill work, defense, all that good stuff.
Now you're going to get the start, and how does that change your preparation for a game?
It doesn't really change it at all, probably. In shoot around, I kind of had like an idea because the groups or whatever. But no, I wouldn't really say it changed anything. It's just basketball at the end of the day. We all been playing basketball a long time, so just come in and try to be your best and help the group as much as you can, kind of same approach.
That's Johnny Juzang, 14 points, 4 boards for Johnny. He got the start, but the Jazz come up short, 132-121. They lose to the Nuggets. Next up, the Jazz will be on the road on New Year's Day. Coming up tomorrow, they'll be in New York to take on the Knicks. Tip-offs at 5:30. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:30.
That's Jazz post-game, man. They now travel back to New York, and they'll ring in the new year in the Garden, Madison Square Garden. Stay with us. What's trending? 7 o'clock hour coming up next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.